donuts, and I can't wait to have some donuts. And let's see, we also, our other sponsors are, if someone could remind me, because I don't have the I don't have the PowerPoint in front of me. And Adam, I can't hear you.
Oh.
What did you say, Adam?
I'm trying to get it up. The
PowerPoint slide. Okay.
Miriam provides our creamer.
Oh yeah, Miriam from More Than Organized. Adam from Sparks Flow helps with our live stream when we're in location. Oh, here it comes. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there we are. And oh yes, Jason Collin Photography. He's our official photographer. If you go back and look at our Facebook page and look at the amazing photos he's taken, you should check him out. Right now he's doing social distancing photos. He's doing photo shoots and drone photography. Tune In ABQ was helpful in getting us started online when COVID first started. So thank you, Tune In ABQ. And I think that's it for our sponsors, but thank you all so much. And I want to thank all of you for being here and participating and helping these businesses, especially during this time. And so I think that's it for me right now. And I want to turn it over to Adam so he can introduce you to today's presenter.
Thank you, Sonia. So today is Chapman Grubb with Rerouted and Rerouted Co-op. I guess you have a couple other names for the business too, but I met Chapman at a Activate New Mexico Stay Connected. So this is really a very COVID like appropriate situation because the networking is happening all virtual. We're connecting with you again virtual. And his whole business is virtual, except the part that isn't. So here's Chapman to tell you more about Rerouted.
Cool, thanks, Adam. So yeah. It's pretty funny. And I'll get my screen shared up. I've got a quick presentation for you guys, but mostly, really, what I want to do is I just want to chat with everybody and share what we're doing because we're online used outdoor gear business. So we're trying to facilitate the exchange of outdoor equipment and make it more streamlined, more reliable, more consistent. And Adam, you actually got our name right because literally last week we decided that we are going to drop the co-op off of our name and move forward as just Rerouted. So we're working on changing all of the branding. I just made that announcement on Sunday.
Good.
Yeah, so you nailed it, and you have been Rerouted Co-op since we launched back in April of last year. Is it going to be a problem? I was just going to say, is it going to be a problem if I just jump on and share this screen? First of all, thanks everybody for being here. I'm super honored to have the opportunity to present for you guys. So I made a quick prezi for everybody. And we'll get that fired up. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep, looks good.
Awesome. So like I said, we launched Rerouted last year in April and kind of came up with the idea in January, but I'm just going to fire through this. And so we can really chat and I'll answer all questions. Feel free to jump in. I kind of pay attention to the chat too. So I'll kind of see if you guys fired up. So you don't really just decide one day that you're going to be an entrepreneur. It's really a long story that leads up to kind of, really firing out and being your own boss, your own employee, pretty much your own everything. So in high school, I had a yard work business. I made pizza for people. I tried everything I could to make money, to generate business flow. Out during and after college, I painted houses, and I really did that as a grassroots marketing campaign. So I knocked on all the doors. I really did all of the, actually, you know what, guys? Oh, there it is. I can see the chat. But I was just gonna say, I painted houses and I knocked on doors. I cold called. I did the estimates. I did the bids, and I really built that business. I hired my first employees then. And after college, I had been able to save enough money from this painting business that I went and lived in a van for a year. I drove all over the country in a 1981 Volkswagen Westphalia. And after that experience, I moved to Moab, and I was going to use my degree, and I was an English major and I minored in linguistics and education. So I thought I was going to be a teacher. When I was living in Moab, I started working an after school program, started playing poker with my buddies, and found out that I could pay my bills a lot more efficiently and effectively playing poker than I could teaching at an after school program. Professional poker was the first time that I really started keeping track of all the data that you've got to keep track of as a business. I started keeping track of my budget, my hours, all of the different details. That's when I first really started organizing these ideas. And for lack of a better term, I was running my own business. It was just a personal consulting business. So the last project that I did before I started Rerouted was I tried to start a campground, and I tried to start a campground out here in Carson, and those all those are actually color coded based on how successful they were. So my campground project failed. I had a highly successful poker career. My house painting business was, I saved about $10,000 over the course of it. So it was successful, but not anything that'll, blow anybody's mind away. And then the yard work and pizza was, $20 a week, which felt like a lot as a high schooler. So that takes us to the next part. So here's how we started Rerouted. We really thought it was going to be me and my fiance in my truck with my trailer driving around to events. Thought it was going to be pretty small scale. Didn't think it was something that was really needed all over the country. But our desire to promote wilderness access, education, and sustainability really fueled people's desire to do business with us. And everybody wants to buy and sell used outdoor gear. And we've made it so much easier than it's ever been before. So over the past year, we did 15 events in 10 different states. We've done about 150 sales, and we've got about 1,000 people that are engaged regularly with the content that we're producing daily. We felt very proud of where we've made it so far, considering that we've bootstrapped everything. And that really segues nicely into the next part of my presentation, which is bootstrapping is hard. And we all know that it's about trying to execute before you run out of resources and making decisions quickly and efficiently, and making sure that you know when to continue going for it and when to try something else. So one of the things that Adam asked me to speak about today is how we've responded to COVID. It's definitely changed our business. However, it hasn't impacted us as negatively as it's impacted a lot of other people, because we were all online already. Our whole goal was to make the used gear trade come into a digital fashion, make it on demand online. So we've really found a niche for ourselves where we're trying to get out to mom and pop outdoor used gear stores all across the country and offer them the services that we built for ourselves and help them to get gear online easier and quicker. But in addition, since we've been bootstrapping, since COVID hit, we've done all sorts of different stuff. We've painted houses. I went back to playing poker some just to try and put some extra money in our bank accounts. And, we just have to do what we have to do to survive through this. And, the hard work, the elbow grease is really what it takes. And I kind of mentioned on it, COVID. Whoa, that's weird. I'm sorry, guys. What is going on? Okay. So I mentioned it a little bit with the mom and pops. The new pitch that we have is essentially selling our inventory software, which we never dreamed of doing until a month and a half ago. Providing e-commerce support to these local mom and pop shops and selling business to business, which is super different than our original business plan. But our whole mission is to get outdoor gear used outdoor gear online so people can play outside without spending an arm and a leg on new retail equipment. So we're doing whatever it takes to make that happen. And COVID has presented us with a new opportunity that we're really excited to see what happens. I'm not going to go super deep into this page. We'll talk about this as we kind of move forwards. But, I'm an outdoorsman. I lived in a van. I would rather be sleeping under the stars on the ground than staring at my computer all day, every day. However, I'm trying to find a balance between the two. I'm trying to find a way to take my passion and my energy for wilderness and bring it into the business world and create a business culture that's founded around that. It's super hard right now. And some of the things Adam mentioned was wanting to hear about how we could be helped. We really struggle with our marketing and telling our story and getting the word out. So anything really in that regard is amazingly helpful. Shipping and logistics have become such an integral part of our business as we're shifting to the B2B side of it, something we've never really thought about. So any leads, tips in that front would be immensely helpful. And then we're also really looking to increase our workforce. I don't know why that keeps happening. Prezi is not happy with me today, you guys. So I'm almost done and we'll just get to chatting. But, I always like to reference back to climbing because climbing is my first passion. And I feel like the business world, climbing a mountain, really share a lot of parallels. And I've taken a lot of lessons back and forth between the two. In both climbing both ladders, it's journey before destination. It's about that experience and it's about learning as you go. Knowing that all the hard work you're putting in is going to be worth it and having confidence that you're capable of reaching the top and having confidence that the decisions you're making are the best way to reach the top. One of my biggest things is I'm trying to become more detail focused. I've always been a big picture thinker, and you really have to have a complement of both. You can't get away having one without the other. That's really the end of my actual presentation. I got contact information up for everybody. That's where you can find us everywhere. We're still changing a couple of our handles, still trying to find everything, but Facebook, Instagram, that's stable. Twitter's stable. My email address might change as a direct contact, but all of this, anything that goes to chapgrub@reroutedcoop.com will get forwarded to me. I much prefer to talk to people in person or via text message. So don't hesitate to call me, shoot me a note. I really appreciate that. And I'll kind of open it up to the floor. Anybody got any questions that jump out of the gate? Stop sharing my screen.
You can leave that the contact up if you want.
Okay. Cool.
You can also post it in the chat so that people can just copy it there.
I will do that for sure. Maybe one of my teammates that's here can get that done for me.
Great. That's cool teamwork.
I know, right?
That was great. Yeah, it's thanks for the presentation. Really appreciate it. Let's see. One thing I was wondering. I've got a few different questions. First of all, are you part of like the Activate NM program, or were you just attending an event that Adam found you at? Because I know I've seen you kind of in and around that space, so I wasn't quite sure if you're part of that, and if you can tell us a little bit about that experience, if so.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am part of the Activate New Mexico Business Accelerator, and it's a tech accelerator focused. So it really worked out that we're making this shift. Oh, that's weird. I just kind of lost everybody. I can't see anybody anymore.
We're here. We're still here.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
We
I was
can
just
hear you.
spotlighting your video. But we could take that back in a minute.
Oh, no worries. I really like the Activate program. It's been an amazingly helpful experience over the past. We've been doing it for about 6 weeks, 5 weeks now, and it's a 10-week long program. So at the halfway point, we're really excited about where it's going to take us. And the whole intention behind it is to put you in front of investors and angel investors and equity investors And I'm feeling very hopeful that sooner rather than later, we'll be able to link up with a real partner.
Nice. Great.
Great. There's a question from Becky Lowe. Becky, are you ready to talk?
I was just going to ask on the chat.
Oh, I can also just ask for you. Yeah. So she wanted to know if something super great could happen for your company, what would it be?
I always dreamed that the majority of our business would be direct to consumer and that we would have people sending us gear regularly. We have found it to be a major struggle to talk people into putting stuff in a box for us. We pay for shipping outright. So if you want to donate stuff to us, great, we'll pay for it. If you want to sell stuff to us, also great, we'll pay for you to ship it to us. But it still takes people going up, packing stuff in a box, and getting us those box dimensions. To me, helping us tell our story, that having a bunch of people that are actively engaged in helping us tell people how easy we've made it to sell and donate outdoor gear online, because I can only do so much and I can only go out and get so much gear by myself. We've got about 400 pieces of gear on the website right now. But really just helping me get the word out and telling people what we're doing, that's the most helpful thing. Did I lose you guys?
No, it's just a little delay between like, all right, so what's the next thing? But Richard Farmer has a question. Are you ready, Richard?
Yo, hey chap. I was just wondering. I'm new to Albuquerque, and
Welcome.
thank you. And I was just wondering how being here has been helpful to you, and what are any constraints that you're trying to with your growing pains and your vision going forward, and just kind of like. Welcome to Albuquerque. Why did you start here, et cetera, et cetera? I know it's kind of outdoorsy, but from the business side. Thanks.
Sure, yeah. No, thank you so much for the question. So 3 years ago when I moved down here, I was trying to start the campground. And really what I was looking for was cheap land near rock climbing, rafting, skiing, biking. And this was the best place that came up. And I'm a huge fan of the Alpine desert. So being at 7,200 feet where it's dry all year round and I can go skiing 30 minutes away, that was a major appeal for me on a personal level. And then from a business standpoint, that's what I've always really wanted to do, was work in the outdoor industry. So moving out here was a affordable, reasonable place where the crowds weren't blown up, where I was able to really rebuild something brand new and different without breaking the bank. Also, I feel very strongly that the state of New Mexico really wants us to be successful, which I think is unique and cool and very exciting. I know we kind of toyed with moving to Denver because the whole outdoor industry is there, but I'd really like to start something a little bit different than what's been routinely happening in the outdoor industry. Does that answer your question?
Yes, definitely. And but has there been any things that with your any kind of growing pains, or is it like employees, things like that? If you could speak to that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So I definitely sourced my employees from elsewhere. I really reached out to my network. The team that I built is a team of 5, and there's 2 remote workers and 3 of them on site, well, 1 including me. So that's been a challenge, although I think I'm much more limited by my resources than I am necessarily by the talent pool here. I feel like I could build a successful team here if I had the money to pay them what they deserve. I just had to kind of strap together what I could and ask for favors where I could. Really, our biggest obstacle has been our shipping and receiving, because where we live out in Carson, we're about 30 minutes outside of Taos. We're the shipping and receiving is really a headache. And it oftentimes gets lost in translation. And we've had to deal with a lot of problems regarding that.
All right, there's a question from Eric. You ready to Eric? You're getting there.
Sure, just a second. Well, and I think it goes related to some of the other things you mentioned. I know the state's been doing, it was starting to do this big push on outdoor recreation, doing some additional funding. And I want to say some workshops, accelerator with creative startups. Have you been part of all that, or I'm wondering if how much you might be involved with that, or just sort of general question on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've definitely been following aggressively what's going on. There's a lot of really interesting developments going on in the outdoor space, and Albuquerque is making a big push, as is the whole state of New Mexico. We're really trying to be as involved as we can be. However, it really takes building that network, and we have a couple wins, and we've communicated a couple times with people. However, we've really been focused on the accelerator right now. And that's hopefully when that ends in a month or so, we'll really be able to fire out. Like I said, I'm a reluctant businessman, and it's been hard for us to manage all of the back end stuff that would make us really appealing to an investor. So that's the part of this accelerator that I'm most looking forward to, is this opportunity to have them help us link up with a really reliable CPA down in Albuquerque, to have us go through and chop up how all of that stuff really needs to work. Make sure that the payroll is going out completely correctly every single month, right? Because that's not my forte. That's not what I'm super good at. And I know that as a weakness of mine. And so being able to build this network via the cohort, via the accelerator, has been so phenomenal on every level. And I'm hoping that as we continue to grow, we've actually had a bunch of articles published about us in the past couple weeks, and we've been posting about them and sharing about them. But what's happening is we're starting to build the social proof that we need to build that trust service that our business relies on. Because until people trust us, it's going to be really hard to get that used gear exchange going and that cycle of gear circulating. And so these articles, this recognition and continuing to grow, that's what's going to really draw the attention, I think, of those outdoor people. Because we've got, like I said, about 1,000, 1,500 really engaged followers. So we're not anything big yet.
Nice. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I was curious myself. You're starting this new thing where you're reaching out to existing resale, or I'm not sure what to call it exactly, but yeah, resale stores. How many have you found in New Mexico?
There's not very many. So there's a handful of dedicated ones. I think there's maybe like 5. Really, most used gear stores either sell a bunch of new gear as well, and so they kind of balance the two, or they are like a thrift store and they happen to also carry used outdoor equipment. And so we're really working hard to start targeting those people. And it's been difficult because if I had my way, I'd just drive there, right? I'd go knock on their door and I'd say, hey, guess what? I have this software. We can put 100 pieces of your gear up in 2 hours and we can sell it. So that would be my strategy. So we've had to adjust and adapt, and we're learning a lot about how to do these sorts of virtual meetings that are allowing us to open those doors virtually.
I also noticed, oh, wait, I got a question from Jason. Are you ready, Jason? Oh, someone has to unmute you. Ha, now you are.
Hi, my question is it possible to emulate the REI garage sale days, which are, I believe, super popular in POW? I've bought 90% of my gear from REI. If you have enough product or enough, inventory in New Mexico itself to host something like that locally?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've stopped over the past month, but one of the foundational parts of what we were building was called the Magoo, or the mobile gear unit. And the whole idea was that we would roll up with a big trailer full of used outdoor gear to outdoor events, to festivals, to music shows, to trailheads. We did an event actually March 12th, right before COVID really shut everything down. And it was called Beer for Gear. We did it at Tumble Roots Brewery and Distillery in Santa Fe. We had 3 of our charity partners there, and we probably rallied, I don't know, $5,000-$10,000 worth of gear for ourselves. And we did a bunch of sales. People really do love that. So we really are trying to emulate as much as we can. What I'm finding though is that this is really the case with all marketplace businesses, but we're playing a little bit of a chicken and an egg game, right? It's hard for us to make sales without us having the inventory. And it's hard for us to build the inventory without us making the sales to have the money to buy the inventory. So we're playing a little bit of a chicken and an egg game. What's hugely beneficial to us is we do so much work with our charity partners so that we collect a lot of donations, which means that we can get that gear listed and online for sale without it having to come out of our capital investment. And that's been really impactful for us moving forwards. But yes, absolutely, REI is something that we emulate. One of the things that we're looking forward to is REI is really making a huge shift towards just being an apparel store. They're really moving away from the hard gear right now, the actual technical stuff that is very specific to each of those sports. So really, while we will deal with apparel, I'm much more focused on what we call hard goods in the outdoor industry and making sure that the specific bike parts, that the really technical climbing gear that can be reused is reused and sold safely and responsibly.
Thanks, Chapman. And thanks, Jason. So we've got 2 questions left for you. And then afterwards, we're also going to have an activity where we're going to break up into little groups. So hopefully people can talk to you in person in a little bit too. But the 2 questions are red or green?
Gotta go green. Always
okay.
green.
And and the you got some spans out there. And the last question is, how can we help you? How can the entrepreneur community help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have struggled since we started with telling this story. You guys can hear how amazing of a story it is. It usually takes any of my team members 5 minutes to get somebody excited and activated about our project. What I am having a horrible time doing is telling that story in 30 seconds, 15 seconds, in a way that's captivating. So any thoughts about how we can, we're really working hard to break up into specific customer segments and market very specifically to customer groups. That said, the story is still really big, and trying to find ways to capture, activate, and engage people quickly and rapidly, that's been a huge struggle of ours. So if anybody's got any thoughts on that, I'm super open ears.
Great. Eric?
Thanks so much. Let's see. I'm not muted. I love it. All right. So the next little section. So first of all, big thanks to Chapman for joining us this morning. I'm going to post this thing up so that ideally, we're having a few tech problems this morning, so I apologize for that. If you've got any events or other announcements, if you'd please go ahead and place those in the chat. The other thing that we're doing this morning that Adam's mentioned is that we're gonna experiment with the breakout room feature. So we'll be getting to that in just a second, but think about, are there topics that you'd like to maybe talk about with a small group? Oftentimes what happens when we're in the live environment with 1 Million Cups is we'll do a little, we'll sort of break into clusters. People will, they'll gravitate to somebody who's wearing an interesting shirt or doing the cool mug or something, or asked a great question about, HR, whatever. So what we're trying to do with this, oh, awesome. What we're trying to do with this is we're trying to make sure that we have an opportunity to do that. So we'll probably keep the general room open. And I'm not sure if that's where we'll keep Chapman, just in case folks have questions for him. But before we get to that, please add your announcements to the chat, and maybe we'll call some folks up on stage. So, well, let's see. So, and actually, Adam, would you mind? What's going on with Activate this Friday?
All right, so this Friday, if I can remember what the topic was. Chapman, do you remember what the topic was coming up this Friday for Activate New Mexico? This is where I met you, so I figured you might know what's going on.
I don't. I'm sorry.
I think it's about they have a different topic each time. So Activate New Mexico is doing a Stay Connected series where they have different topics. Last week it was video gamers, but a lot of them are like based on some sort of business topic that will be interactive in the actual meeting. So there's breakout rooms. And this next one I think is about finding customers. So there it is on the page there. So if you scroll down, you'll see what's scheduled. Whoever's got the screen up. Customer discovery. I can barely read it there on the bottom of it, but yeah, that's the next one coming.
Oh, that's great, and thanks so much, because I thought that series was over, so I am glad to hear that. I will mention 2 different events that are coming up real soon, not this week, but next week. So we had Eric Streeper joined us a couple weeks ago from Zerb TV. He's the featured guest on June 4th for Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs. Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs is going virtual, and that's Thursday night of next week. So we'll be posting some more information about that. And also, it's kind of, we'll see how it works, but so First Friday in Albuquerque, First Friday downtown with, let's see. Boy, I'm spacing on the name. I'll have to come up with a name in a second. But basically, First Friday downtown Albuquerque is Albuquerque Art Walk. That's what it is. They're doing curbside this Friday night or next Friday night. So that's April. Clearly, I'm all over the place. That's June 5th. It's in downtown Albuquerque. Go to ABQ Art Walk, and again, we'll share the information. But there's going to have some art installations. I know that there's some cafes and places. Albuquerque's restaurant scene, or New Mexico, is now or will be open as of, I think, today for some outdoor dining. I know this is all kind of a big question about how that's going to proceed, but they're doing a special sort of drive-by curbside event for Albuquerque Art Walk, and that's happening Friday, the 5th of June. Any other events? It looks like, yes, Adam's got his Friday Flow. It's a change of time there. So that's 9 a.m. on Fridays. And basically covering all sorts of different good questions. Is there a topic for that this Friday?
Yeah,
Adam?
I'm gonna focus on priorities because especially during this time where things are constantly shifting, the priorities can shift down. So we're gonna talk about how to keep our priorities top and how we choose them.
Excellent. So that's this Friday, and you can find the information through the 1 Million Cups meetup page. If you haven't found that, we will share that. But basically, if you're not on Meetup, you go to Meetup and you look for Albuquerque Entrepreneurs, or you just plug in 1 Million Cups, and that'll help bring it up. Let us pivot to. Let's see. I'm going to go to. Sweet. I'm sorry. I was the one who shared the Activate NM screen, and I didn't even realize it. So let's see. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to try and do these breakout rooms. This is a little bit of an experiment. So we've had a couple people we've posted in the chat. So there's some folks I think who are looking for legal advice. I will say that we are not we are not legal professionals, and we do not claim to be giving legal advice as lawyers or as anybody that can be potentially sued, or any bad things can happen. So folks are interested in that topic. What I'm starting to do is I'm starting to name some of the breakout rooms. Are there other rooms that folks are interested in maybe hosting some people? I know I hear we have at least one scientist. Being New Mexico, the likelihood of having more than one scientist in the room is fairly likely. Our own Paul Sauter, part of the organizing team, he posted there is was it SpaceX launch today? And he was also willing, if folks are interested, in talking a little bit about the science behind or around COVID-19. Yes. So he's put in the chat, COVID-19 science discussion, what's real, what's not, and what's unknown. So let's see, I'm gonna make that a room just in case. And if you would let us know through the chat if there's a particular room that you want to be in. Looks like we also have a SpaceX room. So I don't know if I know Paul's gonna be torn. So let's see if we have any takers on COVID-19, but I will go ahead and add a room for SpaceX. And then I was thinking the other thing we could do is do like a general resources room, and I'm glad to take that over if folks are interested in getting resources. So let's see. All right, so we're getting, thank you very much. Appreciate the folks who are, appreciate the folks who are signing up. I'm gonna be signing you into those rooms in just a second, as soon as I can type a thing or two here. All right, so let's see. Oh, I love this COVID-19 room. So this is the joy of doing live events and doing this on the fly. I'm going to send folks to their rooms, but it takes a couple minutes to do that. So just a sec. All right. Samantha Brown, Jordan, okay. Ken, oh, excellent, okay. All right, so I'm going to, basically I'm opening one room right now, and then we'll get folks into the other rooms as we go on. All right, so there is a breakout room now for COVID-19, so that is now open. I think we're just, if it's okay, when Eric sends us to our rooms, do we have to sit quietly in the corner and think about what we've done? Thank you, Michael. I hope not. I hope folks share. So I can no longer talk to the folks who've gone into that one room. So hopefully somebody takes that over a little bit. But one of the things, it's meant to be like free moving. That is correct. But I think Michael is probably in that other room already. So I think for the general room here, I think it's probably like if folks have continued discussion around just maybe outdoor recreation, I think that feels good. Let me work on the SpaceX room, which I have not yet created. So just a sec.
Yeah, I don't think he's gotten to the legal room yet, Mr. Jason.
Oh, Eric says he's lost connection.
Oh. So who's
No.
is there anyone host
Yeah,
now?
I am just back right now. So let's see. So
Okay.
I was talking for a while. So are folks talking in this room, or is that
Legal.
the only
Make a
room that's
legal
been
room.
populated is COVID-19?
Jason's ready to go. And so is Richard, I guess.
Excellent.
I think David wanted to come into the legal room too,
He's also, oh, okay.
and Jessica.
And oh, I've been sending things only to Chapman.
I like how Zoom is like the most popular video sharing thing, and all of us with
Hey, Adam, are
extremely
you
high
the actual host right
levels
now?
of tech competence can't hardly use it. So how are people using this?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
why
this breakout room is really something I've been wanting to use for a while. So
that's why Instagram and Facebook are all making new things, is because the current existing platforms were not created for this sort of sustained use. So there's going to be a whole new revelation, I think, of this sort of software coming into the marketplace. And I think Facebook and Instagram, with those rooms, meets, whatever they're doing, are starting to compete for more of a casual thing. And there'll be a business platform that comes out that's a much higher quality.
okay, I think we're just, oh wait, did we lose him again? Okay, so it looks like I'm the host now. So let's see if I can make a room, breakout room. I'm clicking on that. Can I create a room? Entrepreneurs, close rooms, broadcast to all, unassigned. How do I make a room?
We may have to,
You guys can start talking about legal stuff now. Actually, Alan, you wanted to talk to Chapman, so you want to start going?
Yes, Chapman, I had a couple of thoughts and concerns. One, you were looking for some 30-second pitch to an individual. I think that pitch should be benefits. People want to know what's in it for them. I wouldn't talk about what you do as much as here's what we can do for you. And if you get their interest, I always talked about the eyebrow test. Just look at their eyebrows. If you talk about something and their eyebrows go up, you got to keep talking about that. And that's a way to figure out if you've got them. If they're looking around the room, you don't have them. The other concern that I have is that I get a sense that you don't have a strategic direction. And two things that I recall that stood out for me. One is you have this problem with shipping and receiving. Well, that's fundamental. You know, the old saw about you only have one chance to make a first impression. And if my first interaction with you is not handled well, you don't get a second. The other one was payroll. If I come to work with you or for you and you don't handle my payroll properly, I'm not going to stay. So my sense, and again, all we had was just what you talked about, is that I would encourage you to take a step back. And you did point on two really important things. One, you have to have the duality of the big picture and the detail, because oftentimes people do one or the other. So that's good. But you have to, I think, see how it all connects. And, and so I would hope that you have a really clear idea of what the top means, what success looks like. And then create a strategy to get from where you are to that end. And in and amongst that are logistical issues that I think you need to solve before you really put the big push out there. Because with all that going on and the bouncing around, I wouldn't imagine that it would be attractive to investors. Investors like to see a well thought out idea. I mean, even if you haven't found a solution to a particular problem, I would want to see that problem really well thought out and some strategy for resolving it. It would be distressing to me to hear you say, well, we have a shipping and receiving problem and it's because of where we're located, with a period at the end of that sentence.
Right.
Because I would want to know, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And that to me is a fundamental issue. So I think having a strategic direction and then creating a plan to follow that is what I would urge you to do.
Yeah, Alan, I think that that's all amazingly valuable insight. And I think that that's really why we're in this business accelerator, is to lend that super business minded strategic perspective to what we've been doing and to really dial us in. And I think that it's even in just a month, it's made a huge difference in what we feel like we're capable of doing. Because I agree, I think fundamentally that's always been our biggest issue. And one of the biggest reservations I've had about a big marketing push is the back end logistics and making sure all of that is taken care of. So I think that you're spot on with where we're at and what we're trying to accomplish. And then one of the things I would mention is that we're working on building a relationship with UPS to solve that problem right now. I was trying to, through my presentation, really exemplify the struggles we're having. I didn't put a whole lot of energy for this presentation into how we're working to solve those problems, because I figured it would kind of come conversationally later. So yes, the shipping and receiving thing has always been our biggest issue. We actually listed our house on the market about a month or 2 months ago, right before COVID, and we were going to move down to Albuquerque to resolve that issue. That was our whole plan. We were actually considering starting like a retail storefront as well to put some really consistent foot traffic coming through. Obviously, we've adjusted our plans based on that, but those issues that you identified are absolutely spot on what I feel like our biggest limitations are, and the thing that we're putting the most energy into right now.
Great. Yeah, it's just before I'd like to see you resolve as many things as possible before you put on the big marketing pitch, because one of the things that I've seen kill companies is that they're not prepared to succeed, and then they put a push out and they get a great response,
right?
But they can't deal with it, and so the great response collapses them, and that's very sad.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Alan. I think that's super valuable. And that's one of the big reasons that when I got the phone call about the accelerator, we jumped on the opportunity.
Good.
I totally identify my weakness as an experienced businessman. And I'm trying really hard to balance my desire to learn to be a businessman and my passion for the outdoors, because I think both of them bring a lot of benefit to what we're working on. But yes, you're right. The logistics things is a huge fear of mine. And fortunately, the only issues that we've really had is when people are trying to send it to us, it's a little bit more remote and we have to navigate a couple channels. When we're sending it out, because we're just going through UPS or USPS right now, we haven't had any problems getting people their gear. It's just getting it to us that's been slightly difficult, which is hard on a number of different levels.
And one thing you said, I'll finish with this. that bodes well for your possible success is when you made the comment that you recognize there were areas that you didn't have knowledge. And that's critical because so many entrepreneurs don't know what they don't know. And they don't go look to find people to fill the gaps in their experience and knowledge. So that alone will carry you forward and be a great asset for you.
I appreciate that, Alan. Thank you. I was trying to be very vulnerable for my presentation today.
You succeeded.
Well, yeah, and I'll just share that. So, I mean, one of the things that I think is different about what we try to do with One Mic Cups is it's not a pitch, you know. Actually, and one of the things that I forgot to mention in terms of events and activities is we're going to hear from some of the Activate NM companies that are doing more, not a pitch exactly, but they're doing more of that kind of presentation. So I think I appreciate the vulnerability, and yeah, so you know, Chapman was brave and put himself out there. So this was not the like, you know, get everybody on board. It's like, hey, here's a couple of things I need help with. So I really appreciate that. You know, you showing up and doing it that way.
Of course. I like it. I mean, I do think that actually, Alan, after you brought it up, I feel like that's always been a strength of mine. And that's one of the reasons that we've been able to come as far as we have, is because I'm so willing to say, hey, I don't know anything about this. Will you please help me? And I'm really ready and willing to accept whatever help people have to offer.
Great. Yeah, I remember great downsizing in I think the late 80s and early 90s. A lot of CEOs that transitioned out of being a CEO failed at their next business because they thought, well, I'm a CEO, so I know, and they were so far from the ground that they were clueless about how to actually run a business.
Right.
And they wouldn't look for advice either, so they failed.
Absolutely. And one of the interesting things, Alan, about what we've been doing is that we're reimagining how the used gear trade has ever happened. So there's not a template. Nobody's ever done anything like what we're building before. And so the whole like logistics navigation, the reason we have an inventory software to sell is because we've spent a year building it so that it works in our warehouse. And the example I always tell people is it's like, if you wanted to start a fast food burger joint, I bet I could find a list of 100 steps that you need to take to make that happen. Whereas us, there's no pathway, there's no template. So I think it's actually a huge advantage that I feel like I don't know very much because it helps us to navigate those tough waters.
It's a contemplative group.
Yeah. A lot to think about.
Yeah, we're also doing background things because trying to organize. So one of the things we're finding out is like how hard it is to like coordinate some of this. But you can give the host, if you're the host, you can give the host to somebody else. And only the host can do meeting rooms. Like they can create the meeting rooms, they can put people in the meeting rooms, but they're the only ones that could do it. So when Eric and I figured out we can hand the host back and forth. If you're the host, you give it to someone and you can always ask for it back. So just by pushing something on the participant screen. So we've been trying to like make things work in the background. And then like poor Richard Farmer, for some reason, he keeps on like getting kicked out and I keep on trying to admit him in and he's not coming in. So that's the background stuff. And see this little green box? That's in all the waiting rooms. He's sending that out so everybody can see it, I think. Anyway, that's what it looks like in the other rooms. So. Are you talking, Eric? Because we can't hear you.
I was talking to myself, so it was appropriate. I was saying it was all part of the fun. So breakout rooms will close in less than a minute. There are probably some people coming back into the room now. So we want to thank folks for that. It's all an experiment, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so big thanks to folks for participating. I guess one question I'll ask for kind of the general group, and I guess unmute yourself if you have or you could throw it in the chat, is would you like in advance of 1 Million Cups to say if there's a room or a topic, say we have one presenter, would you like to say that in advance? Because that allows us to help set up those rooms a little bit better, to maybe find somebody to lead a room. So that's an option. But I'm curious what other folks think about how we might do rooms in the future.
Just my sense is if you could ask people in advance or at least early in the session so that you can use that opportunity to set things up so that it'll take a lot less time and give us more time in the rooms.
I was just saying, cool, thank you. Any other thoughts on that? Let's see.
I thought my room was pretty cool. So that was good.
You were in the, which room were you in there, Michael?
With Paul, maybe it was a little bit more one-sided, but it was cool. It was a nice conversation.
Did you get a presentation in there? Was there a video?
Well, in academia, you're trained to talk for 45 minutes and then give a test. So it's a hard habit to break.
Well, and I'll say so. David made a
The
comment.
rush kind of makes that.
So one thing that, well, let's see. I think one thing David was asking a question about having the breakout rooms not time out like that. One of the challenges, I guess, is we kind of like to bring everybody back together to end the event. And I guess one of the questions is if there's like a follow-on kind of event or activity or something. I think that's possible. It's a little difficult because I know as organizers, I've got to jump on another call in about 5 minutes myself. So it's a little tough for us to keep some of these rooms open. Yeah. So maybe we can discuss that a little bit further. Any other comments or things from the rooms? I think I'm a little bit over time. So first of all, for the folks who need to leave, go ahead and please head out. We appreciate you coming. We hope you'll join us next week. But if you do have other comments or questions about the breakout rooms, please share.
Well, I wonder about your concept of bringing everybody back together. We never do that on real life things. And I don't think many of the people stayed on afterwards. So what's up with that idea?
I think there's, maybe Eric has an answer for this, but one of the things is we have to shut it off when the main host goes, unless someone else stayed on as the host. And then they would have to continue to watch for when people are actually done. So I could come into the room and see that. That's a possibility. But Eric, did you take off?
I think I sort of have two different thoughts related to that. So as an event, we want to, part of what we're doing with this is we're trying to bring people together. So I see the kind of the tension between, we want to have people have great conversations, but we also want to, thank folks and acknowledge their participation. So I think there's some, maybe what it sounds like we're suggesting is basically when the presenter's done and whatever kind of official kinds of things are happening, what you're saying is that we just that's the close of the event. And if the folks want to have ongoing conversations, they've got some time to do that. Is that more like it, Michael?
Well, that was kind of what I was thinking. That's what we normally do on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I mean,
in person.
Maybe having it come to a definite end is good. I mean, normally on Wednesdays, somebody starts pushing chairs around and that kind of signals to the last stragglers to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe another option is just to remind people that if you want to meet together, that to get contact information so you can meet again. Yep. Or right now, we could say, would anyone like to continue a conversation? And we could continue that room and we can make somebody a host.
Yep.
Oh.
So we could just try that right now. For instance, Eric, if you want to make me the host, I can hang on for a while and anyone who wanted to stick around can. And I won't be offended if everyone's like, all right, enough FaceTime.
Excellent. So I'm going to close off our one or two of our recordings now. So let's see. There goes that. And we're going